glad to welcome numerous delegations of civil society organizations from different countries, from Europe, from Latin America, Asia, Africa, Middle East and North Africa region.
The Roundtable is part of a universal social protection advocacy tour we have organized in cooperation with Brot für die Welt, Solidar, and the Global Coalition for Social Protection Floors, and the Friedrich-Ebert-Stiftung, which I'm presenting here today. The objective of the tour is twofold. We would like to raise awareness on the role of social protection floors to fight poverty and inequalities. And we also want to strengthen and highlight our demand that the post-2015 development framework supports the implementation of universal and comprehensive social protection systems by 2030.
We believe that the European Parliament is a key ally for civil society and should ensure sustainable support through, let's say, various instruments, including financial instruments to civil society in development, monitoring, evaluation of the implementation of universal social protection systems and floors. Indeed, civil society play a critical role in engaging the political will necessary towards the realization of the right to social justice and social protection.
You know, we are trying to also with all of you to get the social protection floor well and truly into the post-2015 development agenda. The main aim of our global coalition is to make sure that the ILO recommendation 202 on social protection floor is implemented, and to see how we as civil society, how we can contribute to that. Social protection floors can have an impact but cannot do the whole job, that's for sure. It can have an impact on gender equality. We know that in social security, that when women normally are in more precarious jobs than men are, so they have less possibility to build up their entitlements. You know, the employment issue for women plays there an important role. And the impact of inequality, of course, depends also on how social protection floors are implemented and how they are financed. Implemented means, you know, education. Is it only for tertiary education, or is it really basic education for everybody? You have seen maybe that for education, the target is not anymore primary education, it's becoming now secondary. So the floor is moving up, and necessarily so. But of course, the whole thing about taxation plays a very important role. And we see it also in the EU. We cannot see taxation as a national issue anymore. So the implementation of broad-based and human rights-based SPFs can you know, kind of eradicate or make a very big impact on eliminating multidimensional poverty, so including the one on hunger by 2030. Low-income countries, that is my second conclusion, they need extra money and technical cooperation in order to make it work. And why not, would the EU, that is the third conclusion, not be possible to contribute to a social protection floor fund?
About 75% of the world population don't have access to adequate social protection, and that's a huge challenge we face. Social protection can save life. Social protection benefits can make an enormous difference in people's daily lives because they address their vital and daily concerns.
African countries and governments have been speaking about social protection for a while. When we consider the Livingstone Conference in 2006, and there was discussion by the ministers of social development or social protection. And in 2008, the AU social policy framework was adopted. And if you look, you can see it's quite similar to the social protection floor initiative. There's been a lot going on in the continent in terms of social protection programs. You can see that now we have about 245 programs in 41 countries. But the challenge is that most of the programs are very uncoordinated in our country, because you would find a country that has probably 5 to 6 programs that are not speaking to each other. And therefore, what we are calling for in Africa and what we're doing with governments to be able to have the programs into a comprehensive and a coordinated system rather than having multiple programs that then are not very efficient and not very effective. The thing that we notice a lot in Africa is most programs are targeted. So you find that it's only a few then who are in the program. And this greatly undermines social contract, because we know in a place where we are all poor, then how do you target? Who do you target? And in a community, if you target in a place where people have been supporting each other, and then some people get lucky and get onto a program, but then others do not get on a program, then it actually undermines social capital and also cohesion in the community. And therefore, we are asking for universal social protection and not targeted programs that only target a few people and some people.
In spite of Latin America now being considered a middle higher income region and therefore being withdrawn of international cooperation, there are still much need for this cooperation, because we have high inequalities within our countries and there are many people who have been left behind. Poverty in Latin America is infantilized. 70 million boys and girls in Latin America live under poverty. For different age groups, you can see that poverty for children between 0 and 5 and 6 and 12 is around 60%. Why is EU cooperation with Latin America so important? Two main reasons. First, the experience. Europe has already been there, done that. You have the strong social protection systems, and it can also be a mutual learning process. Europe can also learn from the Latin American experiences, particularly in managing social protections throughout a crisis, throughout financial difficulties. Two main recommendations. First, put universal rights-based social protection on global discussions. And secondly, maintain and strengthen concrete interventions such as Eurosocial and the Investing in People's line.
Nous pensons que dans l'agenda post-2015, la priorité ne devrait pas être uniquement une tendance actuelle qui consiste à privilégier le secteur privé. Il y a des autres acteurs qui peuvent promouvoir la croissance économique, la redistribution de la richesse, la cohésion sociale et la gouvernance démocratique, comme ils sont déjà largement prouvés. Pour ces raisons, les organisations syndicales, les Espagnols, les Européens, soutiennent que les syndicats soient considérés en ce qui concerne l'agenda post-2015 au même niveau que les entreprises. Nous affirmons que le mouvement syndical est un élément clé pour définir le modèle de développement de chaque pays.
What we need to do is to broaden our understanding of unemployment, because it does not mean people who lose formal employment and then are unemployed and then get back into formal employment, but it means all the huge numbers of people who do work the whole day but do not earn enough. So income security may also be applied to the whole agriculture or big parts of agricultural sector, and this changes somehow the idea of the social protection floor concept and can be applied globally. We all know the Human Rights Declaration applies to state and governments, but on the other hand, it's a human rights universal agenda, and this brings to me the question of what is the international obligation. And it has been shown that inequality within nation states, as for example in Latin America, the Gini coefficient went down, but globally, of course, inequality is rising very fast. And I recently read a study where it says, I think the 10 richest people in the world own the same as half of the poorest population in the world.
For developing a strategy, I think also we should use and perhaps learn from the past. It does not make sense that everybody comes with his or her particular issue. If we want to have the implementation of this universal approach, of this universal right of social protection, we should put this on the agenda and not having 10 or 15 other ones, because we will get lost. What we know that there's too much division, because everybody has a singularity. And I think this message will not reach you as parliamentarians and will not reach the Commission and will not reach the international institutions if we do not gather around one single and particular message.